Hey, everybody, welcome to THPS Podcast, episode number 24. How's everybody doing out there? We sure are stoked and appreciate you guys taking some time to hang out with us and to be part of the conversation and to continue to try to help Tony Hawk's Pro Skater to thrive. So, my name is the Dode Man, and I would like to, at this time, welcome my co-host, Freddie.
Hey guys, Freddie here. Glad to be back. We had a nice little spring break there and ready to get right back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, we had a break there, and obviously the world's crazy right now with all the COVID stuff going on. So we're stoked that technology allows us and affords us the ability to do this and to continue to be a part of the community and everything that's going on in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater land. So Freddie and I coming to you live from Alcatraz here, San Francisco Bay, Thug Pro. But at any rate, we're going to get ready to introduce our guest here in just a second. I just thought we'd throw a couple of things out there. We had a nice announcement this week. Skateboarding titles recently have been few and far in between. I'm sure we have mixed reviews about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. That was really one of the last AAA titles that kind of came out. Well, there's a couple of games that have been of interest to us and that we've been kind of paying attention to. First one being Session, and then the second one being Skater XL. Big announcement with Skater XL this week. They are going to be doing a full launch across all platforms in July of 2020. It's going to be on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Steam, and the Switch, Nintendo Switch. So interesting to see that. It's going to be crazy to see what's going on there. So, Freddie, I know you and I talked about this a little bit. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is the first, really AAA looking skateboarding game to be released on all platforms in quite a while. So I think it's going to be a viable alternative for all of our Tony Hawk fans to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be crazy to see how that kind of all takes off and goes. So yeah. All right. Well, without further ado, then that's kind of our a little announcement. We always like to try to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on in the skateboarding video game community. But now, without further ado, what everybody is probably really here for, not to listen to Freddie and I babble on, but today, our guest today is magicsummer. And hey, magicsummer, magicsummer. He's considered by many to be one of the greatest Tony Hawk's Pro Skater players of all time. He has some of the most well-known and well-respected videos of gameplay from the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 era, including his famous Alcatraz No Manual line. We're going to be taking a look at that in a second. He's the winner of the very first improv tournament, the Improverty Stricken Tournament, or I-1 as it became known, and then turns around and wins I-2 as well, cementing him as a pioneer in the improvisational style of gameplay for the series. His videos of improvs and no manuals are absolutely legendary. They're still watched and referenced today by modern players. He was one of the earliest members of the TXO clan and highly revered as an elite player from the era by all. So everybody, please welcome with us magicsummer.
Wow,
Hello.
Thanks for that nice intro. I'm flattered. That was really nice. Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
Wow, we're doing really good, man. Thanks for taking the time. So
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're kind of coming global here today. So you're hailing right now from Switzerland, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. So you're
It's 8 p.m. here.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
So I guess for you guys, it's more like in the morning, right?
Yeah, well, it is for me. It's 2 o'clock
Okay,
for
so
Freddie. I'm 11
good morning.
o'clock because I'm Pacific time. So
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay, great.
But I don't think we ever planned it this way. But we've had several international guests now. We're Switzerland, Sweden, as well as Italy. So and we also have
Okay,
had a
that's
couple
cool,
U.S.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's
Well,
cool.
it fits right because it was quite the international community as well. So
Absolutely, and that's what's so fun. I love the technology that we have now that affords us the
Yeah,
ability to be
yeah.
able to do this and have these conversations.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, we're going to jump in and let's hear more about your career and some of your memories for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and the gameplay and
Yeah.
the tournaments
Let's
and
do
everything
it.
else. So,
Sure.
Awesome. All right, so we'll start as we always do with our general questions and some of our quick hits here. So, what's your favorite Tony Hawk game and why?
Okay, so favorite Tony Hawk game is already really tough for me to answer, actually. It sounds like such a simple question, but for me, it's between Tony Hawk 1, 3, and 4. I know that's really boring, but that's kind of the way it is. Because, I mean, I have memories for each of those games, such cool memories. I mean, I started with Tony Hawk 1 with my pals, like playing so much over one summer. I mean, all we basically did was playing Tony Hawk 1 all the time. And I mean, I have such fond memories of that time. And I was so young. I was like 12 or 13 back then, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, yeah, and Tony Hawk 3 was so special because it was the first online title. I mean, just going online for the first time and meeting with all the great players. And it was so new and so fun. I mean, yeah, that was really cool as well. And obviously Tony Hawk 4, from which most people know me probably, I guess, because there's only videos of me from that title.
Sure.
And that was so fun because there were the tournaments, right? Because there were no tournaments before, I think. Tony Hawk 4 was the first one of the tournaments.
Really? Yeah, that's when they really. Yeah. I think that's when they took off the most, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and all the community that grew so much in that time, and yeah, for each title, I know it's not a good answer, but I would say each title has a special place in my heart.
No, that's a great answer.
Absolutely. Magic, when you were playing online back then, did you have a favorite player?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll talk about him probably like in all like 5 minutes or something. But Andy THPS was like my hero, like hands down my absolute hero. I loved his style. I loved how he approached the game, and I kind of modeled my own game from his, I guess, to a certain point. Yeah, he was my hero for sure. Yeah.
We hear that answer. We hear that answer quite a bit. Not surprisingly. Andy's fantastic. I'm glad that we're still in touch with him, and who knows, he might even stop by the podcast. We'll see. So
that would be really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're gonna get him on the podcast as a guest. He's holding out for episode 69 is what he keeps saying, but we'll see. We're doing that.
Yeah, that's a good one, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a little yuck there. So, so did you play online much, Magic Summer? I think I know the answer to this, but let's see what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I guess people can expect the answer to be yes. Yes, I played a lot all the time, basically.
Yeah.
Especially from Tony Hawk 4 onwards.
Yeah.
I think I didn't even play offline anyhow on Tony Hawk 4, but I did play offline on Tony Hawk 3, and obviously 1 because there was no online mode. Mm-hmm. But on 3, I was whoring quite a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did that offline, obviously. So for the third title, I was online a lot too, but certainly much more on Tony Hawk 4.
Nice. I'd imagine too it's probably an interesting dilemma for you because of the time zone. So a lot of people tend to play at night or after school or whatever, and that's the middle of the night for you. So probably, did you end up playing it? This is totally impromptu, but did you end up playing with a lot of people from the European regions as a result of the time zone? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I played mostly with European guys, like Germans and. Well, there weren't as many Swiss people online at that time, I think, but a lot of German guys, and those were the guys I spoke to the most at that time, I think.
Yeah.
Basically, mostly because of the time zone, but I guess also because of the language, because my English wasn't that good back then.
Well, your English is great today.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
great
sure.
So yeah, I was more comfortable like speaking to the German guys, and also I guess playing with them because of the time zone. Yeah.
Sure.
So when you're playing all these game modes online, like say Trick Attack Graffiti, King of the Hill, what was your least favorite game mode?
That's so tough because I don't think I remember all of them. But I mean, I would have liked to be better in King of the Hill, but I just really sucked. I don't know why. I wasn't good at COF. I don't know. So whenever people would start a COF game, I wasn't that thrilled. I mean, I liked playing it, but I was pretty competitive, I guess. So I would have loved to be better. So
that's very intriguing.
Mode. Yeah, I was like regret not being better in COF because it's just such a fun concept, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know much or many other modes actually. There were. I don't
Gosh, for back then, I mean, you had always Trick Attack, Combo Mambo, King of the Hill, Graffiti, Capture the Flag, and then you really didn't see and Slap, and you didn't see the advent of Score Challenge would be another one. You didn't see some of the more controversial ones until the later titles, like Firefight. Not a lot of people love that. And then like Scavenger Hunt was a game mode that came later, and then really later Robomoto titles. You had Big Head mode, and you had what the heck was Hawkman was a game mode that was played online in later titles. So yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, I can certainly say which was my favorite mode because that was for sure Graffiti.
Okay.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I played it all the time. That was like my favorite mode.
Oh, interesting. I love that. Yeah, we still play. Freddie's a big King of the Hill guy, and so am I, because the way the game's played in 2020 seems to be I think points are well thrown out the window long ago, and a lot of people feel like true gameplay and true style and so forth is accomplished in King of the Hill, but that's controversial. Not everybody would agree with that. A lot of improv players they'll start a 30-second trick attack, and all they do is they improv around, and it's not about the points. It's about there's some sort of game mode and what can we land for a score at the end of this completely unplanned run, that type of thing.
Okay,
So
see.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that King of the Hill. I mean, you need a lot of creativity, right? You need to do unexpected turns and stuff.
Yep.
And I don't know. I guess I just wasn't like cut out for it. I don't know why.
Well,
I was just never good.
Freddie he won't say it himself, but Freddie is considered by a lot of folks to be one of the best King of the Hill players that there is.
Wow, cool.
He's a lot of fun to play with. He kicks my butt quite frequently when we play King of the Hill together. So
No, I really think it's an intriguing thought that Magic could have been one of the greatest improv players of all time, and also could have gone on to become one of the greatest King of the Hillers of all time.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I certainly didn't like play it enough to be good at it.
Yeah.
I guess because it just I don't know. I just never really liked it from the beginning. If I had played it more, maybe I would have gotten better, I guess. But yeah, It is what it is. It's okay.
Yeah,
So,
I love it.
So Freddie, can you teach me in COF?
Absolutely, that would be awesome.
Okay, sure.
Good stuff. All right, so what's your favorite level from all of the games and consoles? What would you say is top number one?
Yeah, for me, I guess that's kind of what people expect to hear because I guess my most known videos are in this level, so it's got to be Alcatraz, where you guys are at right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that level is just so well planned out, in my opinion. There's so many cool transfers and all the levels in the level. I mean, the grounds. It's so cool what you can do in this level and be so creative. And I always loved Alcatraz the most.
I'll give you a high five and I'll pay you later for that. It's my favorite too.
Okay, cool.
That's awesome.
When you were coming up, maybe back in those TXO days, or maybe even later, what was your favorite THPS video?
Oh yeah, that's pretty tough to answer actually. I mean, I can answer which one is my favorite for sure. It's probably not the favorite of many others, because it just influenced me so much. And that would be Andy's LA video from Tony Hawk 3, like the high score one, right?
Okay.
Do you guys remember that one?
It's coming to mind. I'm trying to think if I've seen it. It's been many years.
Okay. Well, he started it by doing this awesome like combination on that ledge, on that curved ledge.
Yeah.
In the beginning, he did like this kickflip 180. to manual, and then manual to nose manual, back to manual. I mean, I can still like imagine so much from that video. It's just in front of my eyes so clearly. So yeah,
Wow.
that one that influenced me so much. I mean, in terms of scoring, I mean, it was a very very good score he achieved there in the video, but also obviously because of his style, because Andy was always so much ahead of his time,
Yeah.
especially style wise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I just so vividly remember like watching that video for the first time, and I think it was even before Tony Hawk 3 was out in Europe, if my mind serves correctly.
Wow.
And just watching that and seeing what's possible in the game, and I mean, it inspired me to be a better player in terms of scores, in terms of style. Yeah, it was just such an awesome video to me.
Interesting. It looks like Freddie found it and posted it in the chat, except for our bot is blocking links. So we'll post in the replay. We'll make sure and post a link to that video that you had in mind.
Cool. Is it on YouTube? I didn't know.
It is. Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
So awesome. So what's your favorite technique or mechanic out of all of the gameplay mechanics? So if you played it consistently through 3, of course, we saw the introduction of the revered. You'll see spine transfers later, of course. In Thug, we ended up with walking. There's a lot of mechanics and things. What was your favorite? What did you like the most? What did you think like enhanced or just made the gameplay even better?
Yeah, so since I'm an old school player for sure, like very old school, for me, like manuals changed so much in the game in Tony Hawk 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't play Tony Hawk 2 that much actually, because I don't know why exactly. I didn't have a console back then. I only had like my family's PC, and whenever I wanted to play Tony Hawk 2, like my father would come to me and say like, "Hey, get off the PC. I want to write an email or something," right? Because those were those times. So, but I think the manuals, they changed so much in the game. They opened like so many new worlds to explore with manuals. And of course also reverts in Tony Hawk 3. In my eyes, they were still not too arcadey, if you want to call it that. They were still sort of realistic, because that was always very very important to me, to have that balance of arcade and style. So yeah, I would say like manuals or reverts.
Nice. All right, well, before we jump into our in-depth specific questions, let's take a look at one of your videos, and this will be interesting to see how we can pull this off, because the delay is going to be really brutal. But
Okay,
let's take a look at your Alcatraz No Manual line right now, and we'll show that here in-game as well. So do you realize, everybody watching in the chat, these videos that we're going to show you were recorded with really old technology, so the quality of these are not going to be what we would have come to expect today. So just keep that in mind.
Oh wow, that just makes me feel older.
Oh, you come to embrace it after a while, Magic. I can tell you, I do. Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at this. This is the Alcatraz No Manual line. This is magicsummer gameplay. And let me turn the volume off. Or down. So the gameplay in this is just the transfers that you were able to find in this. I know for me, blew my mind. I would have never thought that you could link some of this together and make it flow and make it work like you did, and it's just absolutely incredible what you did here. It's seriously the stuff of legend for sure. Freddie, I know you have some thoughts about this as well.
I mean, the style for the time, it's so ahead of its time. When you look at the trick usage,
yeah, actually, I don't really remember like the time frame when I did this. I mean, it was obviously not at the beginning of the game because of the TXO tag, right?
Oh,
it
sure.
wasn't in TXO in the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to know when exactly that line was created. I suppose.
Do you remember
Remember.
who capped you at that time?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. It was a guy named Max Queeb. He was a German guy. I
McSqueeb.
don't know if you.
Yeah,
Max
absolutely.
Queeb, yeah.
Yeah, I remember McSqueeb.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
awesome. Well, cool. Well, yeah, just an excellent no manual. The folks in chat are asking what year this was, and it sounds like we don't know for sure. So you got the invite into TXO after I won, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, could be right. Yeah, could be right.
Okay, so that should have been early to mid Tony Hawk 4, which would have put us at about 2003. So that video was probably came out in late 2003, early 2004 would be my guess, somewhere around that
Yeah,
time.
sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's what that would be for when the year was recorded. McSqueeb on the capture.
Uh, about how long would it take to capture something like that before you finally landed it?
Oh, I don't know exactly actually. I know it took a lot of time. First of all, because at the end of the video, I think I write finally or something like that, and that tells me that it took a long time. I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say maybe an hour, something. I don't know. It was quite tough to pull off, so it certainly took quite a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Well, we deviated from our questions there a little bit.
No problem.
So let's see.
We're going to move on to some more in-depth questions right now.
Sure.
What is the meaning behind, or how did you come up with your username, Magic Summer?
Oh yeah, that answer is not that deep actually. It's simply because my last name is Summer in German. So that's pretty much all there is to it. I guess I just my creativity wasn't that big to go beyond my last name. So I just thought probably like what sounds good in connection to summer, and I guess Magic Summer sounded about right. So so I took that one. That's pretty much all there is to it.
It seems like
So-
that's the case with so many people's
Yeah,
usernames.
yeah.
Like
You
somebody.
You guys remember Boring Summer? Sorry. Like the guy Boring Summer? That guy existed like in the early days, I think.
Oh goodness, that's
And
interesting.
some people asked me if my name was based on his name. Like if I wanted to tell people that not all summers have to be boring or something, but actually it didn't really have any connection to him. I think he was around in Tony Hawk 1,
Really?
maybe 2, yeah.
Oh, I love stories like that. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And that was probably not a really well thought through username either. They probably
No.
they were sitting around bored one summer and they're like, "This is a
Yeah,
boring
I
summer."
imagine it'd be like that, yeah, to have been like that.
Oh, I love it. That's good stuff. I think you already answered this, but we'll just confirm. When did you first start playing the Tony Hawk series online, and what title specifically?
Yeah, so that was Tony Hawk 3, as I said before. And I went online with before the official adapter came out, right? Because
Wow.
I wasn't at the start of Tony Hawk 3.
Right.
Tony Hawk 3 was the first title with online, where you could go online, right?
Yeah,
So you had
exactly.
to buy like a USB.
USB.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I remember like the first time I saw someone put up like an instruction for how to go online without the adapter. I mean, I immediately purchased like this USB to Ethernet adapter. And
Wow.
actually, I don't know. I can't really prove it, but I think I must have been one of the first like Swiss people who were online on the PlayStation.
Oh,
I think so, because it was like right when Tony Hawk 3 got out, maybe a few days later, I got on.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so surprised that worked, because that was such a simple solution with the adapter, and it worked like a charm.
It's so interesting. I've heard this talked about many times, and for the listeners that aren't familiar with what Magic Summer is talking about, when Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 came out on the PlayStation 2, there was no official network adapter, which was a peripheral that you could bolt-on to your PS2 that allowed you to play online. But prior to that, that hadn't come out yet. It came out around Christmas time after Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 was launched, leading to this whole inception of people that were now termed as Christmas noobs, which are people that started playing online when the network adapter came out. But before that, there was a way that you could purchase. Basically, it was a USB adapter, and I wish I would have done it because I wanted to, but I was like, it's probably going to be hard and it'd be too hard to figure out. But it sounds like, from what I've heard now, it was super simple. And, all of the people that played, that's a really kind of tight-knit community of folks as well that played Tony Hawk 3 online. And so then if you came on later as a Christmas noob, you were late to the party. There was already an established community, and it sounds like you got in early on that.
Yeah, it's true. It was really easy. I mean, all you needed was a modem with an Ethernet cable. That was pretty much all there was to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so surprised it was that easy. I expected not to go online until like the official adapter got out, but yeah, it worked really easily.
Interesting.
Who from that era do you remember playing with the most, Magic?
Yeah, so as we said, it was really tough, like because of the time difference, to play with the big crowd, right? So
Sure.
I played mostly with the European guys. Except for the weekends. I mean, I pulled some all-nighters on the weekends just to play with you guys and with TXO crew and all the guys. So I think my parents weren't really that amused. I mean, playing all night at like 14 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, they must have hated me for that. And I mean, my grades I think suffered because of it. But I don't know.
Wow, that's amazing. That's quite a tale.
Yeah, but in terms of who exactly I played with, I'm not that sure actually. I mean, I remember who I was talking to all the time, which wasn't necessarily the same guys that I was playing with. But in the Tony Hawk 3 days, I was talking to Party Bear all the time. You guys remember Party Bear?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was on the PC. He was like one of the best horrors, I think.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. I mean, yeah, as I said, I was big into high scoring myself. So he was like always finding out stuff like how to score more, how to score higher and stuff. But we never played each other because he was on PC and I was on PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
But he was in touch with Mike, I think. Pretty much all the time. And Mike was really good at that time as well, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And I remember like there was this contest to find a 1080 in each level in Tony Hawk 3. You guys like remember that?
Gosh,
that was so fun.
Yeah, that's a great idea. No, that's before my time. You're predating my gameplay days.
Yeah, that was really fun because I mean, if you were into scoring, if you found a 1080 in a level, that would really help you for higher scores, right? Because you could incorporate that into your line.
Sure.
And it was always so funny. Like Party Bear would write to me, "Hey, Mike found a 1080 in I don't know Canada," and I was like, "Whoa, no way!" And I would look for a line to like use it in a line and stuff. And yeah, those were the times, right?
I
but
love
I don't
it.
think I ever played with Party Bear.
Oh, that's so funny.
I talked to this other guy named You're Amazing. You remember him?
Oh yeah, we were just talking about him in chat last night. Freddie and I were. We're trying to find out. We're trying to get a hold of him. We'd love to have him on the podcast.
Yeah. That would be so cool because he was like my best online friend in all of the Tony Hawk.
Really?
Time.
Oh, that's awesome.
We were writing all the time.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we played that much. Was he on PC mainly, or was he on
No, he was on PS2.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, I played with him many times.
Yeah. Okay, then I guess we played as well. I actually found some footage that we captured together. You're Amazing and me.
Yeah.
He did some cuff moves that I captured.
Sure.
Captured with my card, and we played Goal Attack.
Yeah.
Really funny to find that footage because I haven't watched it for like 15 years.
Oh yeah, it's all a head trip. You start watching some of this stuff. We'll do that sometimes. We'll get on a trip and we'll start reading some of the old forums because you can get access to them. Like
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
yeah, Tony Hawk Live. There's an archive of that KSK has restored and put up, and you can read through some of those old threads and looking back through old videos and stuff.
Oh wow,
it's,
really?
It's pretty fun. Yeah, sure.
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Some good, some bad. Sometimes there's a lot of trolls
Sure.
and so forth, but
Yeah,
it's
and
good.
drama and stuff, right?
Yeah, if anybody knows how to get hold of You Are Amazing, let us know. Seriously, we'd love to try and get a hold of him and see if we'd be able to get him on the podcast. It'd be fun. Let's see. So you ended up being really a key member of TXO. Were you involved with any other clans besides TXO?
Not really, no. No, TXO was actually my first clan and probably the last clan in my life. I don't know. Never joined any other clans since then. So
Sure.
and I was involved in the German community, not a clan per se, but just a community. It was there were mainly two big sites in German Tony Hawk world, which were THPS Zone.de and THPS World. And Max Queeb was actually, I'm not sure if he was the webmaster, the creator of THPS World, but he was involved big time. Yeah, so no, not really part of any other clans.
Okay.
Actually, I listened to KSK's podcast like, a couple of days ago, and he said I was part of TLT, which is actually not true. I've always only been in TXO.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
So who exactly invited you to join TXO? Talk about that process a little bit.
Oh yeah, I remember that one very well. So it just goes to show how much that meant to me at the time, I guess. I actually got online in IRC, I think it was called, right? On the TXO page.
Yeah, sure.
And I very rarely actually went on IRC, so it's pretty funny. So, but one time I got in there, and I think Sneef was there.
Yeah.
Andy and I think Fake Shady, they were all in there.
Yep.
So we were just chatting a bit, and all of a sudden, Andy, come on, Sneef, just ask him. And there was like, what the hell do you guys want to ask me? Do you actually want to invite me to the clan or whatever? And I mean, TXO at that time, it must have been one of the most respected clans across the whole gaming world, right?
For sure.
So yeah, so to me it was a huge honor. So Sneef asked me if I wanted to join, and I was like, of course, man, of course I want to join. That's so awesome. So that was actually the moment I changed my name, I think, from Magic Summer to Magic, simply because magicsummer.txo just wouldn't fit.
Fit,
I had to shorten it. Yeah, I had to shorten it to magic.txo. And I think later on with that cool like lead writing, right, with the K and the CK.
Yeah.
That was then later. Yeah.
Elite speak. Yeah.
Elite speak. That was a thing, right?
Oh, absolutely, that was the thing. Oh, that's so funny.
So just for clarification, you also went by Magic MAJICK. Sometimes.
Yeah. Can you repeat that? What was it? MAJICK, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah. I went with that later on. Andy once called me that, and seeing as I was a huge Andy fan, sorry. I mean, I just had to take over the name, right?
I love it. So, did you ever meet Benson, and did you interact with him much? I mean,
No.
Really?
Unfortunately, not. No, I never. I don't remember if I ever played with. I would say no, and I never actually exchanged words with him, which is a real pity because he seems like a cool guy.
Oh,
I mean, all I know about him is that he was the creator of TXO.
Yeah.
And I have a huge respect for him for that. I mean, he did such an awesome job.
Yeah.
How he ran everything and stuff. I mean, without him, like the whole community would have been different right now, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He was super impactful.
I listened to his podcast as well. So I have so much respect for how training it must have been for him, like handling all those 13-year-olds.
Oh gosh, yes.
a bit old. I totally get that he didn't have the energy at some point to deal with all of that.
Yeah, he really didn't play online all that much at all. I think he
Oh
did.
yeah, right. He mentioned
Tony,
that.
yeah, I think during Tony Hawk 3 he did more, but in Tony Hawk 4 it was, yeah, he just didn't. I think I probably played with him online on Tony Hawk 4 maybe once or twice out of thousands of hours that I played online.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, he was kind of tough, but I mean, I guess I take it for granted. I interacted with him more, but that was because I was helping with cap review and administering the site and moderating the forums and all that. So I guess if you really didn't, see that aspect of it, you probably wouldn't have had too much to do or too much interaction with him, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty private at that time. I was quite a shy teenager, so.
Oh really?
Yeah, I didn't want to get involved in so much of the politics and so much of the, I don't know, organizing stuff. I mean, I was so young. I just wanted to play the game and have fun. So that was all for me. There was to it, right?
Yeah, interesting.
With you being known as one of the pioneers of the improv style of gameplay, was this how you always played, or did you ever play for high scores?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for calling me pioneer. I'm not sure I agree with that, but yeah, as I said, actually, I started whoring on TH3.
Sure.
So for me, that was so much fun. I know that for a lot of people, the scoring mechanism was already broken in Tony Hawk 3. Mm-hmm. Actually, for me, that wasn't the case. I think it still required a lot of creativity and imagination. Just to be able to come up with the lines and for me it was still fun. It was the most fun for me to do in Tony Hawk 3, a part of just playing online and just improvising a bit. But I did more for the high scores and stuff. So and the way I approached it was actually, I still remember I always did a lot of preparation for my runs for the scoring. I would sometimes sit down at school in a boring lecture, and all I did was plan out what lines I would do when I got home, and what tricks I would do in each round, in each line. I mean, I planned that all out. I memorized the whole scoring for me, so that the tricks didn't repeat too much, because that would lower the score and stuff. So that was so much fun for me. I had such a blast just doing that.
Oh man, that makes me remember there was this, I don't remember who wrote it. It might have been Mike. Somebody wrote this whole paper up on how the scoring system was broken. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but there was this whole theory on Tony Hawk scoring and how it degraded, and it how tricks diminished after you did them a certain amount of time. Nevada's saying in chat that it was Mike. It's a famous article. I have to see if I can find it, if it still exists somewhere. Yeah, but it was exact same type of thing. I mean, the scoring system was so well known and so well documented, and so to really understand the nuances and to be able to plan a run around that's fascinating. That's really crazy. I never put that much thought into it. But that's
if you wanted to be really good at it, you kind of had to do it. But I'm not sure if the other guys did it as well. I don't know. But
I think a few people did. Yeah, I really do. Because there was that whole article. Yeah, I really want to find that now. It's a really interesting read, and that was such a big deal at the time. And then of course when Thug hit and the double tap glitch was included in the game, that pretty much wiped scoring off the face of the planet.
Yeah, I mean, I get that a lot of people say that Tony Hawk 3, the scoring mechanism was broken, because it was it was far from perfect. Mm-hmm. I mean, in Rio, I think, was it in Rio, there was this DAO stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Was that in that level?
Yep.
And, I remember in the beginning I always wanted to stay away from that, but if you want to be really good and get on the scoreboard on TXO, you just had to do it, and so I did as well after a while. Yeah.
So Freddie found the link for this already.
Ah, cool. Okay, can't wait to read it.
Yeah, so he found it in the archive already. Freddie is the ultimate sleuth. If you guys don't know, his knowledge of history of Tony Hawk stuff it's second to none.
Historian of the series.
Yeah,
I see.
it's good
So
stuff.
cool.
All right.
Actually, just to add to that, I actually still, I was so proud when I got on top of the rankings on TXO or T30 it was called back then, right? I actually printed the scoreboard and hung it on my wall for like I don't know, 10 years or something. I still have it actually.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
I
amazing.
still have it on my phone, the picture. I just I dug it out like a few hours ago.
Wow. That's crazy stuff. I love it. All right. So, you talked about this a little bit, but let's go into this a little bit deeper. But some of your peers have described you as being the best improv player in the world at one point. When you were coming up, what players, TXO or otherwise, did you look up to and learn the most from?
Yeah, as I said, there can only be one answer for me. That would be Andy THPS.
Yeah.
Definitely, like I don't know how I would have stopped playing the game if not for him. Probably, maybe I would have even stuck like whoring in TH4. I don't know. Probably not though, because it was so bad. But yeah. So I pretty much always had the goal to play like him. I always thought like Andy knew exactly like or found the balance between arcade and real skating. So in my eyes. So he always knew exactly. I mean, I think Mike touched upon that as well. He knew exactly when to play which trick, and I was always so inspired by that.
That's awesome.
Your videos from the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 era are the stuff of legend now. Now, were you aware or mindful of the lasting impact that they would have on the way the series has been played for years since then?
No, definitely not. But I always think, also think that I can't like take all the praise myself, because I think there were so many others who were so good at the game. I mean, I can't name them all, but people like Mike and Draco or whatever he was called, Andy and so forth. I think in a way, like we pushed each other like to be better at the game. Yeah. I sort of see it like in top level sports, right? The top players usually push each other and look at each other what they're doing, and I think it was the same in the Tony Hawk series. I think we watched so many videos all the time, people finding out so many new cool things, and yeah, but I definitely wasn't like aware of the impact. Definitely not.
So you crossed paths and played with Draco?
I don't remember if I played with him, actually, but I mean, I think Draco was very underrated in my eyes. I think he's one of the best players of at least that area. He was so good, and his style was so I don't know, so polished, I think I'll call it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, he has so many good videos as well from the early days, like his Carnival style line, I think it was, or No Manual. Was it No Manual?
Carnival No Manual. Yeah,
that was so good.
It's phenomenal.
Although I was it KSK in his podcast who said it was maybe stitched? I never noticed, but even if it is, I mean, it's still such a cool line, and Draco was such a good player in my eyes.
Yeah, that's a lot of the controversy. Some of the lines that came out of that era, some people have been accused of stitching or editing them together.
Never heard.
I think it's pretty noticeable when it is, but who knows? Phenomenal either way, for sure. Let's take a look at a second video here. We're going to look at your London No Manual as we're talking about gameplay here, and that'll give us some visual appeal here. All right.
I think the London No Manual style-wise is so different from the Alcatraz one. It's so interesting to see.
Yeah.
I mean, it was much later in the game.
The Misty Flip on the rooftop was crazy.
I think what's coming up, this one, like dropping to the other rail or whatever. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's insane.
Don't know how I found out that one, but still love it.
How much of what, some of this stuff, did it end up just being by accident versus you actually planned to do that? Was most of it fully planned?
You mean in the capture, in the video?
Yeah, just in the line itself, at the end result. Was there ever a time where you're like, oh, that was crazy, and I didn't even mean to do that, but we'll go ahead and throw that in?
No, it was all planned. I think my
Okay.
no manual lines were all from start to end, all planned out.
Yeah, awesome.
But there's actually in the Alcatraz one, the ending wasn't actually planned that way. When I dropped off the house at the end, right, and
Yeah.
just landed on the floor. I mean, that's kind of like I don't know. I would have loved to do it differently, but because I had so many tries landing that one, I think the ending was actually supposed to be like grinding to the other house in front, right? The one you see here, where you're standing in the background, and then like do a misty flip off of that, and that was the end. It was supposed to be the end, because my balance was so bad at that point. I just had to finish it somehow.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, interesting. I love it.
Yeah, so it's really interesting just to see like the London line. To me, it's like from a technical standpoint, much simpler for me. Was simpler for me to pull off, I think. But it's still, I mean, style-wise, I like it much more than the Alcatraz one. I think style is much nicer.
I love it.
I think it was made in a time when I pretty much found my style that I wanted to skate in. So that explains it.
Sure. So you've expressed that you played Tony Hawk 3 and Tony Hawk 4 online. Did you play anything beyond Tony Hawk 4 online? And if so, how long did you kind of hang out and stay interested in playing the series online?
Well, sorry, can you repeat that? After Tony Hawk 4?
Yeah, so after Tony Hawk 4, we have Tony Hawk's Underground 1, Underground 2, American Wasteland. Yeah. Did you play any of those titles online? And if so, which ones? And then kind of when did your interest start to kind of fade? And did you just kind of stop playing online?
Yeah, so I don't think I played any of those titles online.
Okay.
Tony Hawk 4 was, if memory serves correctly, the last one. I played, I think, each title up to like Proving Ground or something. But I think I didn't really, I mean, I didn't really like them so much. So I only played like the offline mode, didn't go online all that much. For me, like the interest in the series was very much done after Tony Hawk 4, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think Underground is still a very good game because, I mean, without a doubt, it is, but for some reason, it just, for me, it wasn't that interesting anymore. And I pretty much suddenly stopped after Tony Hawk 4. I just wasn't interested anymore. I don't even really know why. It might have been in some way the game itself or the games that followed. Because in my opinion, they went in a pretty wrong way. I can't exactly say why. Just the features that they put into them and stuff. I just wasn't interested in them. So yeah, for me, like Tony Hawk 4 was the last one I really played online, especially online.
Yeah.
Did you delve into any of the games that have come out recently, like HD or Tony Hawk 5?
Not really, no. I was planning on it, but after reading like what a shit show those titles were, I didn't really bother. So no, I didn't play them.
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit offline, but for the viewers in the audience, when did you become aware of the Thug Pro mod, and did you know that people still play the games together here online in 2020?
Yeah, I did know. No, I follow the scenes. Like I barely follow it, but I do notice like major developments like these. I've read about Thug Pro like a lot of times, but I didn't actually try it until like maybe it was last year or 2 years ago. But since I have a Mac, it took me like so long to get on.
Sure.
I made it work like through, I don't know, Wine or whatever it's called on Mac. And I think I played one game, like for 2 minutes. I played and I sucked so much. I mean, I couldn't even land like the simplest combo. I was so frustrated, so I put down the controller and never played the game again. So yeah, just recently I tried to start it up again, especially like when you guys asked me to do the podcast. I thought, yeah, why not try it again? But I couldn't get it to work yet.
Yeah.
But I'll try it again for sure.
For sure. Yeah, and it's to be expected. It's not quite like riding a bike as far as the series is concerned.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. Right?
Well, and the other thing too is the engine for Thug 2, which is what Thug Pro is based off of. It's vastly different than Tony Hawk 4.
Yeah.
It just feels
that's
different.
what I noticed.
Yeah.
And I mean, all these mechanics like walking and wall plants and stuff. I could never get around to learning them
Sure.
properly. I
Yeah.
pretty much always hated them. Yeah, I think if I ever tried playing again, I would have to familiarize myself with the new features and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, it's so odd calling them new because they've been around for 50 years.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying though.
Because the majority of these games and levels have all been played thousands of times by thousands of players, and there are dozens of mods and scripts and so forth, most would agree that scoring-based games lost their meaning and purpose years ago. The improv style of play still seems to be considered the true way to play these games. Does that analysis seem to resonate and line up with your approach to play even back in the Tony Hawk's 4 era?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we touched on it a little bit already. To me, scoring, I was never into it in Tony Hawk 4. It just wasn't interesting at all to me. I loved it in TH3, but in 4, to me, that was just not the way to play the game.
Yeah.
But up to Tony Hawk 3, I still thought it was really fun. So for me, that only like approaching the game the way I did and a lot of others did in Tony Hawk 4 only started to, at least for me, only started on the 4th title. Yeah. That was definitely how I approached it.
Yeah, for sure. So you touched on this just a little bit, but talk about your approach to improv. Was it something that you give a lot of thought to? I mean, obviously with lines being planned out and you grades suffering as a result, I think the answer is probably yes. But was you gave some thought to it, but was it rather something more than just stringing together good trick combinations, transfers, etc., playing through a level, or what was kind of your kind of approach to improv?
Yeah, so you might be surprised, but I approached it completely differently to scoring.
Okay.
Because to me, improv was always like try to prepare as little as possible, right? And just I never put much thought into it. I mean, it lined up with my way of playing anyway. That was like how I loved to play the game. Just to me, it always had to look cool, right? For me, it wasn't like I wasn't happy if I just did like a cool combo or anything. It had to look cool as well for me. Because part of it was also because I was very much into real life skating at the time. Because me and my friends, we would go out and skate like every day, pretty much. I mean, I wasn't good at all, but I loved watching skateboarding videos, like real life ones, and that was always like a big part to me how Tony Hawk is supposed to work. Even though it was very arcadey, obviously, but you could still approach it in a very real life way, in a way, right?
Sure.
I mean, of course, it's always going to be arcadey, the series, and that's what it's supposed to be. But to me, it always had to be cool looking as well. So yeah, style was always something that was very important to me. So I guess improv just suited that.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel that there is a major difference between the planned out style lines that we used to see and true improv, which is completely unplanned and spontaneous?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, those two things are completely different, because in one you really have to plan out everything, and it's just like a regular line. Even if it's supposed to be for style, it's still just a line, right? So that to me is not really improv. I mean, it's cool to look at, of course. Doesn't matter if it's a line or not, but improv, to me, a big part of it is just not to prepare for it, just do what works in the run, just go with the flow and stuff. And for me, improv must have like a certain amount of spontaneity, right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I mean, you can like discuss how much spontaneity there has to be in improv, right? That's, I guess, a different topic. But yeah, style line for me, any line, something completely different from improv, in my eyes at least.
That's interesting. This is a fascinating topic, and this gets discussed quite a bit. There's a Discord server. It's called NFA, or No Fun Allowed, and there's a lot of the improv players kind of gravitate towards that place, and improv theory and so forth is discussed quite frequently, still
Okay.
even today. And so you guys are hearing it here from Magic Summer, one of the pioneers on his theories on improv. This is good stuff.
It's not like my opinion has any more weight than any other guy's.
Oh, I think it does. I really do. I think it does for sure. So, to you, is there really pure improv if someone has already played a level dozens of times, or can you only achieve that true pure improv the first time somebody plays a level? They've never seen it before.
Oh yeah, that's such an interesting question and such a big one, isn't it? Right? It can almost like go into philosophy or something a bit, because I mean, yeah, let's say it this way. If you go by the definition of improv, I don't think it can be pure improv if you play a level not for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, pure improv is only possible if you play something for the first time, because you always remember stuff from a level, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's only like, oh, okay, this rail is like in front of this rail, and I can do this or that between. Even if it's only that, or of course, if you play a level many times, as we did in the past, and the guys still do, I guess, you remember stuff, and yeah, I think I'll have to disagree with Mike a bit here, because in his podcast he said. Yeah, to him, if he gets to a spot and remembers a transfer in improv, his way of approaching things, he tried to find a different transfer in that moment. And I mean, theoretically, I very much agree with him. I think that's the way it's supposed to be, and it should be. But in my opinion, it's just not doable in the game, because, I mean, we've played the level so many times. I mean, probably hundreds, if not thousands of times. Yep. And doing like cool transfers and cool stuff for the first time, I think it's nearly impossible. I mean, I'm not saying I planned out like in the improv tournaments. I think we're talking about that a bit later. But yeah, I'm not saying like I planned out anything in those runs, but I certainly did one or maybe more transfers, and didn't do them for the first times in those runs. But I think that's just improv. To me, like, the interesting thing is how you get to the point where you can do cool transfers, and at the same time, for most transfers, you always end up like in a different spot than you planned, or than you thought before, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, the interesting thing is what do you do in that situation where you end up? How do you like get into the flow of the line, or not the line, of the run again, and how do you cope with like bailing 6 times like in 20 seconds or something? Yeah, that's what was always like the interesting thing to me in improv.
I love it. That's great.
Magic, did you get a chance to watch that 2-minute run that I included in your questions?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Okay, so the question that I had was, I had actually sent Magic a 2-minute run of Green from TLT, his contest-winning run from the recent Baltimore contest. And the question that I had was, this run by Green was the winner of a very recent improv contest featuring other prominent players, including Mike. Displayed in the video is what high-level improv gameplay looks like today. What are your thoughts on where the game is at in 2020?
Oh yeah, so I watched the video. I guess you're playing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, I love it. I think it's actually pretty similar to how we approached the game like in the old days. And it still incorporates like many of the techniques we did back then, which I love to see, like the late kick flips that appeared, and like I don't know how you call it, like the spin into, how do I describe it? Spin into like an air and then spin more in the air. That sounds really stupid, but you guys know what I mean.
Yeah. I don't know if there's an official term for that, but I know what you're talking about.
I don't know. It's tough to me to describe, especially in English, because it's not my main language.
Sure.
And I love it. I mean, it's so cool just watching it, and how he uses the game. Like he pretty much uses the whole, the level, sorry. He pretty much uses the whole level, and I think that's an important part of improv to me. Like how much of the level you actually use. I mean, there are a lot of good players, or were back in the day, who did cool things, but they didn't really like use up most of the level. They just did their thing in like a small area of the game. Mm-hmm. And I mean, watching this, he's just like utilizing the level completely, and that's so cool.
And the great thing about this contest here is that this Baltimore level is a brand new custom level, so nobody has really played it. This is what you would consider true improv, I guess.
Absolutely, then, yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. So that's the first time you actually played the level?
I don't know if when he recorded it, it's the very first time he played the level. I don't know if that's true or not. We'd have to ask him, and some people might know. So everybody's saying in the chat that what you're looking at is called a spin out, what you were trying to say.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So spin out is the descriptor there. But at any rate, so Baltimore is actually a section of Tony Hawk's Proving Ground. It's basically 3 main sections in that game, but a lot of people didn't play that game, so this was brought over and recreated, but expanded upon greatly. So the creator, Loraxian,
I thought I'd seen some stuff of the level before, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's been so long.
Yeah, no. So part of it, but a large part of it was brand new, and Loraxian had created that stuff, and so it probably wasn't the very first time that Green played the level, or anybody that participated in the contest, but really close. I mean, they certainly had played it maybe less than a dozen times, but certainly not thousands of times.
I would have thought he knew the level like inside and out. But if that's not the case, that's even more impressive. Yeah, it's a really cool run, really nice.
Yeah. So you won the first and second improv tournaments held by the Lion Tub. It seems the first tournament, the Improverty Stricken Tournament, would probably not be understood as having such a lasting impact on gameplay as it did at the time. Did you realize what monumental concept it would become and how it helped shape how these games would be played still 20 years later?
Not at all, actually. I don't think any of us expected it to have such an impact. I guess, if you say so, in the way it is played today, it's just it made so much sense in with the way we played anyway. So we already touched on that. Since the scoring system was dead and broken, we had to find new ways to play. So it made sense to create a tournament where you could just showcase like your style and the way you approach the level and stuff. So that was, in my eyes, kind of like the logical conclusion to that.
Sure.
And as I said, I mean, the concept of tournaments was still very new in the game. I mean, it was it like, I think it was like the second tournament in the game. Is that right? I think Tourney for the Homies was the first, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know my tournament history too well, but it was definitely one of the first. And as far as I know, nobody else had done an improv tournament prior to I
right.
won.
I mean, a lot of it, I guess, was trial and error. I mean, Mike spoke about it as well.
Yeah.
For him, like, to see it succeed was really cool to him and to me as well. I didn't know. I mean, I just did my run. I didn't know any. Whatever happened to the tournament. So it was cool for all to see, I guess, that it was a successful tournament. And there were many more after that. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Now, it's well documented, the controversy and ramifications surrounding the I-2 tourney. Were you aware of this, and did it affect your involvement in it or gameplay during it?
Actually, I wasn't involved in any way, and I didn't even remember any of it. Actually, none at all, nothing at all. So that's kind of funny. I don't know if I just erased it in my mind, or if I actually don't remember. But it was really news to me when I heard it in Mike's podcast. I think I must have read it in the forums because it was like a big topic. But I don't know. I just don't really remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even if I did know about the controversy back then, I certainly didn't want to get involved in it. As I said before, I just wanted to play the game, and
Yeah.
to me, I mean, hearing it now, what he said, like him changing the level before shortly before the final, obviously, like now we're all adults, and he wouldn't have done it this way if he had been older, obviously. But
Yeah.
it makes so much sense. I mean, I would have done the same probably if I were the organizer of that tournament and found out that people were practicing beforehand and putting videos of those practice runs online. I mean, that's really not what it was supposed to be, right? So yeah, and actually there were 2 takes in the finals, right? The first take and then the second take, and I always thought that Mike should have won it. I mean, I never considered myself like the true winner of I2. I always thought Mike was, because he had such a cool run in the final, in the first take in Chicago. I
Interesting.
always thought that he should have won like easily, because my run, now looking back at it, wasn't really that good. It was okay, but Mike's was certainly better. So he would have deserved it for sure. He was such a good player, such a good improv player, and I would have totally been fine had he won the tournament.
Sure.
And just think how different the history of Tony Hawk would be if Mike had won I2.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, hearing about him from him splitting with TXO, forming the line top, I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
I knew that Mike created the line top, but I didn't know that it arises from the drama. So that was news to me, and I think part of why I didn't even that was because, I mean, the line top was mostly active from Thug onwards, right?
Yeah.
So that explains it. I mean, I wasn't really a part of it then anymore.
Yeah, it was kind of this really crucial point in the community, and now that I think about it, and after our conversation here today, it makes me realize that I think some of this stuff might have been discussed behind closed doors. There's certainly a lot of discussions on the forums, but I think we talked about some of this, maybe in administrator, moderator channels or whatever, because I was very aware of it at the time, and as a moderator on the forums and all the rest. So
I mean, I think I don't know, in the back of my head somewhere, there I might have some memory of some drama from I2, but yeah, I don't really remember that much about it.
It's cool that it didn't affect the way that you played the tournament, though. I think that was kind of the heart of the question there.
To me, like, the facts were that Mike and I tied, right, in the first take. So I guess people just told me, yeah, we'll do a second one. We'll see who wins it. And to me, that was totally fine, because I think I sucked in the first one, so I tried to do better. I mean, I might have done a bit better in the second one. It was still not the best run, I think. But yeah, to me, it was completely fine. That was really okay.
I love it.
I mean, I just loved playing so much, and I could just do one more run in a tournament. That was totally fine with me, right?
Sure. Do you remember what the gap of time was between I1 and I2? I couldn't remember this. And what did you do to kind of push yourself to get better between those tournaments?
Yeah, I don't remember either, actually. I think the gap must have been quite big, because if you look at the styles from people between I1 and I2, I think the style developed a lot. So it must have been quite a long time in between, but I really don't remember either.
Sure.
And I mean, what I did to push myself, I didn't really do anything. I just tried to be better, tried to play the game the way I wanted to, but not like, to me it wasn't like to prepare for I2. I2 was just a tournament I loved to play, and I didn't prepare in any way, actually. My style, it just developed naturally. I mean, there's a huge difference in my style that I noticed between I1 and I2, but that was just the way it was. It wasn't particularly like developed for I2 or anything.
Right.
Now, Magic, you created quite possibly the most iconic creative skater in THPS history, duplicated many times over the years across several games, and even used by other Tony Hawk 4 greats such as Mr. Freeze and KSK. I'm talking about the gray beanie, the leather jacket, the gathered cargos, the Villeli shoes. Even the teal sun hat from your I2 runs is still used today sometimes. Was there a moment where you thought to yourself, this is the look, or was it all just thrown together?
Yeah, this one is really funny to me because I had no idea that my cast is still popular, like in the online world after all these years. And I had no idea that it even became popular at all. I mean, I actually just threw that together without much thought put into it. And I didn't even know, like, those were, what is it, Mike Villeli shoes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had no idea. I mean, now I think I should have made like a sponsoring contract or something.
That's great.
Made me some money, or I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
What's really funny is, like, a few years ago, I was on YouTube, and YouTube, YouTube like randomly recommends videos for you. And I don't think I watched any like Tony Hawk videos prior to that, but all of a sudden, like, YouTube recommended this video of a run, Tony Hawk run, and I just looked at the thumbnail and I saw like my cast, and I was like, what? Is that me, or what the hell? And I think it was one with the sun hat that I changed in I2.
Yeah.
And seeing that after, like, I don't know, 15 years, it was so surreal to me. Seeing that on YouTube.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
I can only imagine.
It was really cool.
All right, so everybody be warned. You're going to have to start paying. You heard it here.
Yeah,
Magic
right.
Summer has monetized his cast. So if you want to use it, you need to pay him money.
Yeah, I'll send everyone my bank account. Okay.
Exactly.
Pay me like for all the years you've used this skater. Is that okay with everyone?
Oh, I love it.
But actually, I can't really take all the credit for the skater, especially not for the sun hat. I mean, that was Andy's all along. Andy pioneered the sun hat from the beginning, pretty much. And I mean, I loved it so much, I just had to use it in some way or another, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I mean, I did use it before in I think. I had the sun hat on, and yeah, I mean, that was such a big part of the cast of so many people back then.
Well, Andy streams now. He does drum streams. I don't know if you follow him, but
yeah, I've watched one or two. Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. So but he has a sun hat in real life. So,
he does, really?
He does, yeah. So on occasion, if you're really lucky and he's feeling really saucy that day,
oh wow,
he will definitely show up in the sun hat. So
I'll have to catch that one. Yeah, if someone has like a YouTube video of him in real life, like wearing the sun hat, I would love that.
I'm sure there's a clip somewhere. Somebody find a clip
and
paste it in the chat or something. Cool. So somebody figured out our password on in the game. So at any rate, so you talked about this a little bit, but it sounds like your interest in the series started to wane there kind of at the end of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Can you elaborate on that anymore? Did you just not find just didn't seem like Underground 1 was going to be interesting, or did it have to do with like the double tap glitch kind of ruining the scoring further, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's, as I said before, it's tough for me to answer. All I know is that I just lost interest very quickly after the release of Thug. But I was very excited for it. I remember like sitting in school and just writing Thug all over everything. I was so excited for the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know, as soon as I played it, just the magic wasn't there. Yeah, pun not intended, I guess. But I just didn't really like the new features, like the wall plants and the walking. To me, like, that wasn't supposed to be in a Tony Hawk game. Obviously, everyone sees that differently. That's just what it was for me, being like very old school, I guess. And I just didn't like the direction the series went. But I know a lot of people loved Thug. They still love playing it, and that's totally cool. It's just, it wasn't for me. but I don't know, maybe part of it was also that I was at a point in my life where a lot of things changed. Like I got out of school, started some new stuff, had a lot of different interests. I mean, when did Thug come out? Like 2005, right? 4 or 5?
November or October 2003.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I was even younger then. Yeah, I started a new school then. So yeah, that was a point in life where a lot of things changed, and maybe even if it hadn't been for the game, even if it would have been a game that I loved, maybe I would have quit anyway. I don't know. So it just happened that I lost interest in it, I guess.
It's interesting that it came down to kind of more of you just lost interest in the series. It wasn't, I've heard over and over from lots of different people over the years that they stopped playing at Thug because the double tap glitch completely ruined and soured the game, or they didn't love the level design, or there's just this myriad of reasons, and your reasoning is you just basically had lost interest in the kind of the series and the gameplay altogether. It wasn't necessarily because
I think for me there were many factors.
Sure.
As I said, I lost interest. Maybe I would have lost interest anyway, but it was basically the features as well, the new ones, new mechanics, but also the level design. Now that you mention it, I always considered like the Tony Hawk 4 levels, or even before, like to be so strong. I mean, that was always something that I loved in these games. They were so well thought out and so well put together, and for me, like the level design dipped in Thug considerably. So that certainly was one of the reasons why I lost interest. Yeah.
We had touched on this a little bit earlier, but just for clarification, did you put in any time at all on Project 8, Proving Ground, or HD, or Tony Hawk 5?
Yeah, I played. I bought each title up until Proving Ground, I think. But as I said, I barely played online. If I don't remember, I never played Tony Hawk HD or THPS 5. I would have liked to, and I actually was looking forward to trying those titles. But yeah, seeing as they really weren't any good, I just thought keep the money and do some other stuff with it.
Yeah. I think my dislike of those titles is probably fairly well documented. I won't be too harsh here, but yeah, you probably did well to save your money.
Yeah, I guess
is really all you can say.
It would have frustrated me to no end, I think.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been worth it. I mean, if you ever played the game before and some stuff seemed to be broken so badly, yeah. I didn't want to put myself into that mess, so I just didn't bother.
Yeah. So there's one more video we're going to take a look at here, and we'll get that going here now, and we can take a look at one final video clip here. And this is the last day that the Tony Hawk 4 servers were online. And so I guess the first question is, because this isn't set in stone, was that?
It wasn't me.
It wasn't you.
No, it wasn't me. I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I would have had the DxO tag for sure, and I have no memory of this. So yeah, sorry to say, but I'm pretty sure that isn't me.
All right. Well, you
cool
heard it here then.
Gathered like one last time in the game. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's what it seems like it was. It was December 31st, 2005. That's when the official GameSpy servers went down.
Putting Draco to shame,
yeah. Huh. That's funny. All right. Well, it just wasn't you. So.
No, sorry, it wasn't me.
Yeah, no worries.
What is your favorite video that you produced of all time?
Yeah, here I have to say it's without a doubt the Alcatraz No Manual. I think it's just in terms of technical skill and creativity, I consider it to be by far the best that I produced. I mean, style-wise, it might not have been actually, because it wasn't that early in the game, but because style was so important to me. If I look at it now, I don't think in that matter it surely wasn't the best video, but yeah, as I said, skill wise and I like some of the transfers I found. Still, I think they're still like when I think back at them, I don't know how I find those like finding out to grind up the pipes.
Right.
That was such a cool moment when I found out about that. I mean, I was at that point in the line when I figured out the line, and it was like, okay, so the start was pretty good. I had some good transfers, so yeah, this is it. I guess this is the and all of a sudden I tried to, hey, what if I try to go to the pipes but skate up and not down? Will that work? I mean, I've never tried that before, and it actually it worked really well. So I could end the line sort of in a cool way, I guess. So yeah, for me the best video must be that one, yeah, for sure.
I don't think it's probably wrong to say.
This one is sorry to interrupt you. But,
no, you're fine.
This one, the drop down from the house back to the rail, I'm pretty proud of that one as well. I thought that was pretty creative.
Oh, it's chock full of great stuff.
Yeah, I didn't really plan that one. Just I was up on that house, and if I remember correctly, I just thought, yeah, what if I don't ollie down and just dropped? What happens? And I ended up on that line, and I thought, yeah, wow, that's something new. Why not? And I think like this part is not really that great. I mean, but how creative can you be like in this part of the map, right?
Sure.
I mean, I just go around that. I mean, that was just to prolong the line, I guess. That's what I meant here, like the what is it? I don't remember what grab it was, like the end. That was what I meant. I just had to end the line because otherwise I would have failed. So
yeah, for sure. I think it's probably your most well-known video for sure, and for good reason. And it's just really, really good. It's definitely something to be proud of.
Surely do it. The one I'm most proud of. Yeah, definitely.
So did you have your own capture card back then when you were making videos, or was it you had talked about McSqueeb recorded you on a couple of occasions?
Yeah.
Did you have your own too, or was it you relied on others for capturing your footage?
Yeah, I did rely on others for like the majority of the games. It was only like in the end of Tony Hawk 4 that I actually bought my own PC. Like for the first time, I had my own PC. So I bought a really cheap capture card on eBay, if I remember correctly, for like $10 or something. And I did capture some stuff then, as I mentioned. Like I found when I went through the archive today or yesterday, I found some stuff that I'd never seen before, like from me doing some improv and me doing some graffiti,
sure,
and capturing You're Amazing, some of his stuff. So
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And
all of that is like a hidden treasure. Like you should upload that stuff.
I found quite a few videos of mine that I didn't remember myself. I think I have like, I don't know, 10 videos of myself. I mean, not all of them are great, obviously, but I don't know. Maybe I'll put them on YouTube at some point.
I think you should. I really do.
Yeah.
I think people would really enjoy that. Some new Magic Summer footage in 2020 would be incredible.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I don't know how to have it on my hard drive somewhere. You know it, right? So at some point you move and some stuff get lost. So why not put it on YouTube at some point?
Sure.
And I want to give a shout out to McSqueeb. I mean, as I said, he captured, I think, most of my lines, and he had a lot of patience just to wait until I was able to pull them off. So shout out to him. He was a cool guy.
I love it.
Now, you talked about earlier, you estimated it probably took you about an hour to land the Alcatraz No Manual. Do you remember how long it took you to land the London No Manual?
Yeah, no, not really. I think it didn't take as long as the Alcatraz one, because as I said, technically, skill-wise, it wasn't as hard as the Alcatraz one, but I couldn't really tell you any figure about that. It wasn't as long. It didn't take me as long as the Alcatraz one. Maybe half an hour, maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes. Can't tell you exactly.
Sure. So you talked about you played Thug Pro. Certainly let us know, and one of the administrators or moderators from fan site that still exists today, THPSX. Tyler, he made a video on how to get Doug Pro working on Mac. If you need any help or you need any whatever, we'd love to see you jump back on. I'd love to play some games with you. And Freddie's got some promises to school you in how to play King of the Hill a little bit. So if you still have some interest in taking a nostalgia trip with us, we'd love to have you. And if we can help.
I would love that. As soon as I manage to set it up again. But
sure.
Yeah, guys, just remember, I mean, I suck nowadays, so I don't know how interesting the games will be. I mean, I suck probably in every part of the game, so I would have to I don't know, practice a lot.
You would probably come back up to speed pretty quickly, I bet, if you put your mind to it. And
yeah, but as you said, it's based on Thug 2, right?
Yeah.
So
it's based
I don't
on
know how
Thug 2.
quickly I'll be. I mean, if it was based on Tony Hawk 4, I guess it wouldn't take me that long. But
sure.
Yeah, but we'll see. Yeah, I'd love to try it again.
I love it.
Magic, what has been your fondest memory all of your time of playing this series?
Oh yeah, I think here I have to mention more than one, because there were so many fond memories. But I think the first one is when we did I1. After the first run, I mean, I was so excited to see it and to see what people thought of my run. And I have a funny story about that run, because I remember, I mean, for me that was like 2 in the morning when I did that run, or maybe even 3 in the morning, right? And I was like 14, 15 years old, and I had to sleep for classes the next morning. So I remember like setting the alarm like 5 minutes before my run, just going online and just pulling off the run. And I remember like after the run, I thought, wow, what a piss poor run that was. That really wasn't like what I wanted to do at all. And but still, I was so excited to see what the other guys did, and to see my run again, to see if it really was that bad and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, like, I don't know how many days passed, maybe 3 days. I remember Mike putting up the forum post where you put up all the links to all the videos, including mine. And in the end, the last sentence he wrote was, and I can recite it like word by word. He wrote, "Did anybody see Magic Summer's run?" And then just wow. And I was so stoked to read that. I mean, that made like my whole year or something.
Oh,
like,
sure,
wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I mean, such words from a player I respect that much. And Mike was one of those players that was such an awesome moment for me. So that was certainly like one of the fondest memories I have from the series.
Mm.
And the other one is surely when I was asked to be part of TXO. I mean, I mentioned that already. That was such a cool moment for me to be included, or to be asked to be in such a big clan, and pretty much the biggest clan in the game. I mean, that was such an honor. I didn't really expect that at all, and didn't think like I deserved it. So that was such a cool moment.
It's so funny how you described how that happened, because it's such a big moment for people. Like, to the people that do the inviting, it's like no big deal.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a big like almost like joke thing or whatever. I think the way that I finally, because I did the whole TXA thing myself, and then that kind of fell apart and whatever, and then when I actually got invited to be in TXO, it was just, I think it was either Andy or Benson. They just basically said, well, I guess if you want to start rocking the tag, you can. Okay. And I'm just like, what?
Sounds pretty casual, right?
Yeah, it was so chill. It was just like not even a big deal to them at all. They were just like, if you want to, sure, go ahead, And I'm like, what? This is like the most coveted invite in the community ever. Yeah. And you guys just like, it's no big deal, It
was such a huge moment for me too. And
yeah,
as I said, I even remember like word by word what they wrote to me. Like Andy asking Sneef, like, just ask him already. I mean, I still remember that. Like, I don't know, 17 years later or whatever it is.
Oh, my goodness.
So interesting,
Oh, that's funny. All right, so final...
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just one more thing to add.
Oh, sure, of course.
I think the third point I would like to mention is the leaderboard in TH3. I still remember when I was on top the first time on the TXO website.
Oh, yeah.
I beat Draco by like 25,000 points. I just saw on the screenshot I printed out. So
Oh, yeah.
that was such a cool moment for me, like being up there for the first time.
Back when it
Man,
felt
that
like
meant-
it
that
still
meant so
mattered.
much.
Yeah.
That meant so much to me back then.
Yeah, well, and back then, if you did get those scores seemed like they were vetted, so you felt like those were legit, like not anybody hacking or anything silly. So
Yeah, I don't remember. Did we have to like prove the scores? I don't know how it was back then.
yeah, I love it.
Uh,
So, what would you? Sorry, before I cut you off again, did you have any other moments that you wanted to share about some of your fond memories?
no, that's it actually.
Okay.
I think. Well, there were so many memories, obviously, but I think those three were the big ones for me. Yeah.
Sure.
I had a small question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Back in those days of Tony Hawk 4, did you two ever cross paths online?
You mean Toad and me?
Yes.
I think we did.
Yeah, I
right?
do too.
Didn't we?
I remember
Yeah, I
playing
think
online
so.
with you for sure. Yeah.
I knew, I recognized your name when you asked me to do the podcast, and I think we did play. I don't think, or I don't remember if we like contacted each other other than in the
No.
game, but
I don't think so either. I think it was pretty. I mean, when we set up that secret TXO Facebook group right ahead of HD coming out, I think
yeah, right.
we probably talked more in that group than we ever did back in Tony Hawk 4. But I do remember playing. I remember playing online with you at least a couple of times.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't remember a specific time we did, but yeah, I certainly think we did play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Freddie, weren't you around in those days? Sorry.
Yeah. I started in the middle of 03, and I got involved in the King of the Hill community pretty heavily until the end of 05.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Freddie and I have compared notes many times. It's pretty shocking that we didn't run into each other more than we may have played together a time or two, but we just don't recall the specifics of it because he and I both hung out a lot with Devolution, who was a prominent King of the Hill player back then, and he was good friends with him, and so was I. I did captures of Devolution and played King of the Hill with Devolution many times. So it's just surprising to us that we didn't know each other a little bit more, but such is the way of it. So final question from us, and then we got a couple questions from Discord, and then we'll open it up to chat as well for some questions. But what are you up to today? Do you still play video games at all? What's kind of going on for you in your life?
So yeah, you mean like professionally or just
however much you want to
in
share?
terms of-
You certainly don't have to share anything you're more than comfortable with.
Oh, no, it's totally cool with me. Yeah, professionally, I'm into videography and photography a little bit, but mostly videography. I work for a company group, like a big one in Switzerland, and we do mostly like videos for companies in that group. So that's mostly what we do.
Awesome.
And I've done that for the past 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. And before that, I did graphics design. So I kind of changed paths a little bit.
That's awesome. Do you game at all? Do you play any video games?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't play too much, but I have a PS4.
Okay.
Mostly for watching movies because I'm kind of a big movie fan. So I have a lot of Blu-rays, and I watch a lot of them on my PlayStation. But yeah, I don't really game that much anymore. When I do, then it's mostly FIFA. You guys know FIFA? I guess it's not that.
Yeah, sure.
US.
Yeah.
Okay. Because in Europe it's like the #1 game.
Yep.
Even though it sucks, but I mean it's football, right? And we all love football. Well, you guys, I guess, don't love it as much as we do, or you call it soccer, so it's not football.
Yeah. No, I knew what you meant. Anytime somebody European says football, I know exactly what that means.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I play that quite a lot with friends.
Nice.
And yeah, there's like this mode on FIFA that you get really addicted to. At least I do, where you can build some team by Like it's exchanging cards, trading up cards and stuff, and it's such an addictive mode. And
nice.
like a few years ago, I wanted to quit that completely, and I actually managed to do that just until recently. But now with the whole like COVID situation, I guess I have too much time on my hands. So yeah, I started that again.
I think that's the case for a lot of folks right now. That's for sure.
Right.
So
yeah, and other than that, I love playing poker. I mean, right now my friends and I are playing poker like 3 or 4 times a week, just online,
nice.
just to occupy ourselves. And there was a time where I played so much poker, like when the whole poker craze was going on.
Yeah,
like
World Series of Poker stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Moneymaker, who won then, right?
Yeah.
And, I think I started like a couple of years later, and I played so much online. I was so hooked on poker. And I made some money, not too much, but it was okay. So we had...
One of the guys that joined TXO later, his name's DT. He actually played poker professionally. So it's interesting that you're talking about that. Yeah, DT, cool guy. He lives in LA now. I still stay in touch with him. But yeah, DT played poker online, or he played poker professionally. I think he made it. He tried to get on the tour, but he went to Vegas all the time, and he was living in New York, so he's in New Jersey, Atlantic City a lot.
That's so cool. I never thought about playing it professionally, but it's funny. I recently spoke with a friend. And he's a good friend, but he never really told me like what he did professionally. So I told him like, just tell me already, what do you do professionally? And he was like, yeah, he doesn't really want to talk about it that much, but he's a professional poker player online. So, and I was like, whoa, really? Wow, you can still do that nowadays. I was kind of surprised about that because, I mean, I haven't played for a few years really, but I think it's gotten really tough online. It's not that easy to make money anymore, so I was really surprised about that. It must be quite good.
There's a few of us that play casual poker. We play Prominence Poker, which is on Steam, and there's a few of us that play that, and we just do it for fun. We don't do it for real coin at all. It's all for fun.
Yeah, that's what we do. Well, we do play for money, but very little.
Yeah.
I don't know, $20 or something.
Sure. Yeah, $5 buy-in.
Just so not
something.
Everyone dunks on too much, right?
Yeah, I love it. Freddie, you want to take the question that we had from Discord?
Yeah, we had one question submitted from Discord. That is from Mr. Freeze. He simply wants, Magic Summer, how old are you?
I'm 32. Born 87.
You're a youngster.
Well,
but I'm the old guy. I'm the old Tony Hawk guy. So
I heard,
yeah. All right, so we're gonna take some questions from Twitch chat right now, and so your good friend Andy is on, and he has a question. Andy THPS. So he says, if you could have done something more or different with your Tony Hawk's Pro Skater experience in 03 to 05, what would it be? And then follow-up question is, would it be make another specific no manual video, run another tournament? What would you have done if you could have done something different?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny he asks that because that just reminds me that I forgot to tell a story, which was when I got my capture card. I was actually working on a new no manual line in a shipyard, and it was a really like this grand like no manual line that in 1,000 years I couldn't have pulled it off, I'm sure. But I was so competitive. I tried so many hours, and thankfully I didn't make anyone wait to capture me. So I captured it myself. And yeah, I really regret that I never really kept that footage. I couldn't find it, so I guess that's lost. And I don't really remember that. It was so, it was so complicated and pretty cool, I think. I don't know if it was better than the Alcatraz one. Maybe it for sure was longer.
Wow.
But yeah, I kind of regret I don't have any footage of that. Because even if I would have had to stitch it, I heard that was a thing, right?
Yeah.
I would have loved just to show it to people.
So there's a lost Magic Summer no manual in shipyard. Now that's
people would have crapped their pants if we could have dropped that today with this podcast.
Oh yeah, that would have been so cool. I mean, I went through my videos. I really I could find it somewhere, but no.
Oh, bummer.
And also for the answer to Andy's question. I mean, nowadays I would get involved in the community so much more. I mean, I was so much different back then, right? I didn't really want to talk to people that much. I was really just keeping to myself mostly in the community. And nowadays I would have so many ideas to run tournaments and stuff, and I'm sure I would be involved so much more. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I was so young back then, and it just wasn't really my thing. So I guess it was just the way it was, right?
Yeah. Freddie, you want to take that next question?
Yeah, Warpig on the stream chat wants to know, Magic, did you ever develop a new improv technique, like a tech or
improv technique? What do you mean by that? Like a style or style element, or
like an element of gameplay or a technical skill that maybe you innovated that you saw other players utilizing later?
I think I didn't really do that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think so, no. Don't think I developed anything myself. I might have like expanded on people doing certain things in the game, but come up with a new technique or something. I don't think so.
I think he's Dave Goes Deep, or Crowd as we know him. He's kind of helping to clarify, and he says like an exploit people find is like, I don't know how much you have heard or knew about techs that people use later, like boost plants, butt slaps, neuroplants.
That stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I didn't really explore that side of the game at all. I pretty much hated it.
Yeah, you and me
never,
both.
I mean, I was a pretty one-dimensional player. Now that you mentioned that, I mean, I never really took part in finding any new glitches. I didn't really create any levels or stuff like you did and still do those, I guess. So
it's been a little while, but
I really I concentrated on just skating around.
Sure.
Doing that, I guess.
Nevada from chat says, do you feel that European players had a distinct gameplay and improv style compared to American players, and if so, how?
I don't know. I don't think so, actually. I think we approached the game pretty much the same way you guys did.
Sure.
Well, I think in terms of skill, we were always behind you guys. That was always like my feeling. I think you guys were maybe also because there were more of you, US guys. So I don't know if that was the reason, but I think most new things came from the US or American community and not from the European. But I might be wrong about that. Actually, I'm not quite sure. But I think all in all, I mean, the internet was a thing right back then, and I think everyone pretty much developed the same like new styles, things and stuff they did. So no, I don't think so.
All right. Any other questions from Twitch here as we're winding her down?
Did you get the one by Matt's Pistola?
Yeah, he just re-added it.
Magic, what were your favorite creative skaters other than Andy's or yours? Also, favorite creative parks? Did you ever beat the Death or Glory parks?
Oh wow, that's so boring. But I don't really have any favorite creative skater other than Andy's, because I don't know if you were in the chat before, Andy, but I said before that you were my hero. Like all I did in the game was because of you, pretty much. So yeah, other casts or caps. No, not really. As I said, I wasn't really interested in that stuff. Sadly, I have to say. Yeah. So.
You're not alone.
What was the other part of the question? Was there another one?
Just asking if you had any creative parks that you liked. If you ever played Elysium's Death or Glory creative parks, those were super famous back in 4.
Nope. Nope, didn't really.
You were one of those
really,
guys.
I didn't play any custom parks at all. I really just didn't.
I could clear a room in a hurry anytime I'd throw on a creative park, and I always played creative parks.
Yeah, I know you're a huge fan of creative parks. So
Yeah.
Sorry to say, but I've never been I've always been happy with the standard levels, I guess.
Sure, and that's you're
Always
not alone
felt
in that.
like I always felt like there was still so much to do in those levels. So that I just kept on riding them, skating.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember like in the end, Tony Hawk 3. I was really looking forward to the fourth game, but I still felt like Tony Hawk 3 was far from played out. I still thought like they could do so much in that game, and I was actually pretty bummed that people just moved on to the fourth one at that point. I would have loved to still play the third one like for a few months. But yeah, that's life, I guess. You have to move on with the times.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned earlier that you try to steer clear of any of the drama on the forums and all that, but Matt Pistola asks, did you ever experience any THPS beefs or drama online?
Not that much, actually. I think what I remember, and Andy might confirm or deny, but I think he might confirm, because I think he was part of it somehow. But wasn't there like a guy, and I remember he took part in Turning for the Home, who like pretended to be a guy but was a girl, and there was some drama around that. Isn't that how it was? I'm not quite sure about that, but that's sort of how I remember it. I mean, maybe Andy can. Nico, yeah, Nico. I just see Nico. Yeah, that's it.
Played as a
That's so
5'1"
funny that-
creative
yeah,
skater woman.
okay. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it, exactly it. I
That's
remember that one. That was like a drama. I don't know why, but it was one. So, but other than that, not too much drama. I remember now.
apparently was a dude. No one ever talked to them.
That's it.
Okay.
So it just had a skater, a woman skater, and that was the drama was all about, right? Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Ah.
So just for those listening to the replay, apparently there was a dude no one ever talked to outside of Tony Hawk 3 or 4 online. There was a rumor that KYS John, who was a TXO member, and Nico, who was a TXO member, were an item because they robo-lined together 24/7. So KYS John, he was famous he was a big horror player. That was pretty much all that he tended to play.
I remember a video of his in Alcatraz. Didn't he break a billion in Alcatraz?
He
on
was
the
one of the
rooftop?
first to
wasn't
do
he
a
one of
billion.
the first?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Yep,
I
that's
remember,
correct.
yeah. That's what it was all about. Yeah, see, I learned new stuff like 15 years later.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see. So, what was your number one rule of thumb to make your style of play look cool? Was it something unique to your style, or was it something you saw everyone else do and you ended up sticking with?
Yeah, as I said earlier, to me, I think I can just say that style was always hugely important to me. I just wanted it to look somewhat realistic, what I did. I mean, I was never interested in like making it look as difficult as possible. I mean, in the contrary, I always wanted to make it look easy and have a certain flow to it. So that was always like the number one thing I tried. But there wasn't like anything specific that I did to my style. I always wanted it just to be like a complete package, so to speak, for it just to make sense and somewhat resemble real life skating. And as I said, I mean, Andy was the one who pioneered that, in my opinion. So I always loved that approach and tried to make it my own, with my own spin, obviously. Yeah. I mean, if you look at my style and Andy's style, I mean, they were so similar in some ways that you can clearly see like my style was basically based off his style, I think.
I think
Wow.
that's probably the case for a lot of the play styles back then. You know, I mean, you kind of found somebody that you probably, like you said, iron sharpens iron, really. And I think you guys would feed off each other, as you had described earlier, Mike, in that mix as well, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mike, to me, Mike and Draco as well.
Yeah.
They also did so many cool things style-wise that I copied, and I think other guys copied. Yeah, it was basically a lot of guys that improved with each other, right?
Sure. So we'll
Now,
take
Magic,
a couple more. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Sorry about that.
Freddie, go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Magic. Did you recently return from a snowboarding trip?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so
it was
this-
a week of snowboarding in the Alps. It was really
This
cool.
ties into the next question from Lobster. Did you ever play the SSX games?
Not really. Well, I did play them with some friends from time to time. I think, as far as I remember, one friend had a few of it, and we played it a bit. But what I did play more was, does anybody remember 1080, the game on the Nintendo 64?
Absolutely. I played that
that's
thing
the
to
one I played a
death.
lot.
Great
that
game.
was so fun.
Great
So
game.
fun, yeah. And also there was what was it? BMX, like a BMX game I played a bit. That was fun as well.
Matt Hoffman's or Dave Mira.
Yeah,
Or
exactly. Yeah. I think one THPS level was based off of one of the levels from that one, right? Like Chicago.
Yes, correct. From Matt Hoffman's. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and he's writing linear.
Yeah.
Basically the gist of it. What
Yeah.
it was all about.
Yeah.
That's so much fun.
Stream chat user Matt Pistola would like to know, how did you pick out the music for your No Manuals?
I have no idea, actually. I just picked what I listened to at that time. And I have to say, like, the used song, I definitely wouldn't pick that again. Sorry to say, but I hate that one nowadays. I mean, I picked it because it was popular, I think, at that point, and I liked it as well. So I didn't really think about it too much. I just thought, yeah, that song is cool. Why not use it for my No Manual? But I don't really like that song anymore. Even though I still listen to some of that music, not exactly that style, but some of the rock music.
Yeah.
And I think the music for the other videos were pretty decent. I mean, I don't remember all of them, but I think in the first I Won video in Alcatraz, I think I put in what was it? 1 Minute Silence song, I think. And I still like 1 Minute Silence. I love that band, so I would do that again.
Yeah, that's funny. Andy says that 99% of Tony Hawk videos after your No Manual had the taste of ink as the background music.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I had no idea. Okay.
There was a whole craze there for a while where every single Tony Hawk video had that kind of, guttural Cookie Monster screaming kind of music. And I don't know. I guess it was just because it was so popular at the time or something. But
That's so funny. I would have chosen a different one had I known that. Pick that one for their videos afterwards.
It's interesting. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we'll make this the last question. This is from Nevada, and then we're gonna let you go. We really appreciate your time here, Magic. But he says,
sure, yeah, it was tons of fun.
Oh, good. Nevada says, do you keep up with modern improv videos at all, or do you find the whole modern conception of style improv vomit-inducing? And I think what he means by that is there's so much tech included in modern improv, where you're going to see those boost plants, you're going to see those wall shuffles, you're going to see those neuroplants. Does that stuff bother you, or do you actually like it?
Yeah, I haven't watched so much stuff with all those techniques you mentioned. I did see them, I guess, in Mike's episode in the podcast, right?
Yep.
And I have to say I didn't really like them at all. Sorry about that, but yeah, it's just, I mean, I'm old school, right? So
yeah.
I have to say this. It's just not what I think makes Tony Hawk cool. Yeah, I mean, the video we watched before, I loved it. I mean, I saw so much of the old times in that. And I mean, if there are more of those videos, I'll gladly watch them too, because I still like to watch that stuff, even though I don't really play myself anymore, but I still think it looks cool, and there's a lot of skill in good improv, so always fun to see that on video.
Well, I think that Green video in Baltimore that we took a look at, he tends to have more of a throwback style. I feel,
Okay.
and so it's a little bit more. The tricks are a little more grounded. You're not seeing a lot of the tech stuff. You're not seeing him float across the level with tech after tech after tech. I think it's kind of a little bit more of a throwback. And Green actually has played for a long time. He's been around for a number of years playing, and so yeah, I don't know if that's an homage. We'll have to have Green on the podcast at some point and ask him, but yeah, I'm an old school guy.
I totally get find that cool because I mean it's arcade, right? I mean everyone has a different perception of what makes Tony Hawk the way it is, and it's just me being old school and liking the old stuff. I don't like the new this kind of stuff that much, but I totally get how you would.
Sure.
Because it makes sense in the context of the game. So more power to you guys who like that stuff.
In the stream chat, Andy has challenged Magic Summer to an I-1 rematch, 1 versus 1.
Absolutely, Andy. I'll do it.
Hey, if we could get both of you guys to come out of retirement and play, Andy plays on occasion.
Wow.
I won't roast him too hard here. He plays Slug Crow on occasion, but not all that often.
Andy, I'll do it as soon as you get on an episode of this podcast. Is that a deal?
Oh, there we go. We can have Andy's podcast episode. Go for it, and we can.
But before 69, I would like to listen to it soon.
I love it. Well, there you go. Issue chat.
I always loved to ride with my hero back in the day. Like, I mean, Andy, do you remember the thing we did in San Francisco? Like what was it? Like the first run was completely nuts. Like us doing whoring for the first run and releasing that, and people were like, "What the hell is going on?" and then the real one followed after that. That was so fun.
That is classic.
I mean, I loved that so much.
He says he totally forgot about it. I love it. Yeah. So for those of you who listen to the replay, we're trying to relay the chat to everybody that's listening to it. So debated the entire Tony Hawk's Pro Skater community.
Yeah, it was. I think it was Andy's idea. At first, I was like, "Man, do we really have to do this? I mean, I just wanna do my run," and I was so excited for the final and stuff. But afterwards, I thought it was so cool.
That's great stuff. I love it, and it totally seems like that would be something that Andy would come up with for sure. So,
absolutely, I think that's totally Andy. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it's good. I want to see those videos. I think they're up somewhere. Freddie, if you can sleuth that, that'd be awesome. All right, well, we're gonna.
If they're not up, I can put them somewhere.
There you go. Yeah, I love it. Well, we could talk for hours and hours and hours. I'm sure we could. There's so many great memories, such a great time. Magic Summer, thank you so much for taking the time to do this and for your willingness to come on and kind of really relive some of this era and some of this time. I have sure enjoyed this. This is one of my favorite episodes so far.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you're the guys and Mr. Freeze, I guess, who made all this possible. I think it's so important, like, to preserve the old history. So when you asked me to do it, at first I was like, I don't know, do I really want to do it? I mean, my English sucks, and I don't really remember any of that old stuff. But thinking more about it, I just thought, I mean, I have to do it. It's gonna be fun, and reliving those days, which were such a big part of my life, right? Mm-hmm. So much fun, and yeah, I totally don't regret coming.
Oh, good.
It's been. Thanks so much.
Yeah, your English has been awesome. Freddie, any closing thoughts from you?
Thank you.
No, I mean, I just shared the thoughts of many past guests as we bring people on, and 2 hours. It's really not enough to talk about a lifetime of experiences. So
yeah, it isn't.
We were glad to have you on. This has been a really special episode.
Yeah.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you so much, guys.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Magic Summer, we'll let you jump off the chat if you want to. You're welcome to stay. We're going to just wrap it up here. We're going to introduce our next guest, and then we'll raid somebody on Twitch as we should. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
like I said,
See
you're
you
welcome
guys.
to hang on. If you want to jump off, you can. I know it's getting later over there for you. So either way. So.
Okay, I think I'll just hang in for a while.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much again for your time. So.
Thank you.
All right, so coming up next for our next episode, we are not going to make it so long between today and our next guest. We're actually just going to go next Saturday, April 11th, ahead of Easter there. We are going to be pleased to welcome to the podcast Guy 2K. And a lot of people are going to recognize that name. We're going to welcome him to the podcast. And Freddie, you want to talk about Guy a little bit there?
Yeah. If there is one player in the Tony Hawk community who embodies the term consistency, it's Guy 2K, because for over 15 years, Guy 2K has shown what it means to push the envelope, whether it's scoring 1 billion points, tagging an entire level, or landing sig transfers and collaborating with other players. This avid Boston Bruins fan and creator of the Airborne Addiction video series has done it all, and with an infectious attitude that makes him very fun to play with.
Yeah. If you have not, I had never played with Guy before, and we did a, I believe it was a King of the Hill tournament here not too long ago. And I played with him on voice chat, or we got on voice chat with him, and he is just an absolute riot. And he's got the Boston accent just like you hoped he would. So it's absolutely fantastic. You guys are going to enjoy it. You're going to get a kick out of Guy 2K. He's a lot of fun. I'm stoked, and we're going to take a look back at his history. We're going to discuss where the community is at right now through his perspective. EX, the clan that he's a part of, they just came out with a phenomenal group video here. I think it was, week and a half ago. It's just nuts. Really, really good stuff. We're looking forward to having Guy 2K on the podcast here coming up next weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so all right. Well, hey, thanks to everybody for joining us today. We hope that this has been an enjoyable episode. This is a little bit longer than we normally do. We're right a little over 2 hours, but I think it's been a worthwhile conversation, and we sure appreciate everybody joining us. Freddie, thank you so much for your time, as always.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yep.
Magic Summer.
Yeah.
Thank all the listeners.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks again. We appreciate it. Take care, and we'll talk to you next week for Guy 2K. Peace.